Red Dead Online player routines can be dramatically different from player to player. However, there are some things that every player has compulsive tendencies to do. Are you guilty of doing these things? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, I am Zumie Fiasco. Welcome back to another Red Dead Online video. Feels good, right? Yeah, I think so too. If you are a new visitor, big ups for tuning in, and again, welcome. Tap like right now and tap subscribe. Make sure you are subbed up so you do not miss out on any weekly Red Dead Online entertainment. Ring that notification bell too, because that makes your chances of missing a video a whole lot slimmer. Before we get started in today's video, when I'm going through these things, if you find out you're not guilty of doing one of them, be sure and mention it down in the comments below so you can call me out. Without further ado, let's begin. These are 7 things Red Dead players can't resist doing. Number 1. Killing NPCs. Now, killing NPCs is to be expected in Red Dead Online, right? I mean, almost every mission in-game at this point prompts you to kill at least one target NPC. But I'm not talking about those NPCs. I'm talking about the lollygagging, cookie cutter, taking up space for immersion NPCs that can be found nearly anywhere across the open frontier. In Red Dead Online, there is a decent amount of downtime between missions, and players are left twiddling their trigger fingers, itching to get back into the action. So when jolly old sap Mr. Stable Worker number 3 stumbles into a player's sights and pops off with some remark like, "Hey, put that thing away, would ya?" Well, for most Red Dead players, that hammer ticks back and shots get fired. It's hard to not just turn a lively city into a ghost town at any given time. If friends join in on the fun, it gets even harder to resist. Even the most honorable of players get tested when an NPC runs them over with a wagon or talks directly to their face. You know who you are. You know you've shot an NPC over some petty shit. So with that said, are you guilty of this? Do you kill NPCs? That is a rhetorical question. Of course you do. If you say you don't, stop lying. Just go pay your bounty and we can all pretend like it never happened. Number 2, applying hair pomade. Hair pomade is a purchasable item in-game that when applied will put all of your bad hair day problems to rest. Most of the haircuts in Red Dead Online are rough, and players don't want to be running around looking like they just got hit by the ugly train. I mean, a lot of the unkempt hair is for immersion's sake, but some hairstyles just look unusable without pomade. Every time a player gets knocked out, tackled, wrecks their horse, or does anything else that messes up their perfect hair, 9 times out of 10, they'll bust out one of their hair pomade cans and do some quick maintenance. And I mean every single time something happens. I'm not exaggerating. Luckily, Rockstar made the pomade effects on hair last a little longer in previous updates, because in the past, pomade wore off quick, or even instantly when you hop sessions on occasion. Players were literally stockpiling this stuff. Now hold up, wait a second. If you don't use pomade, don't get ahead of yourself down in that comment section claiming you're not guilty of this. That's right, you might still be guilty to the alternative to using pomade, which is re-equipping your hat. Players that do not use pomade on the regular may have a specific outfit that just isn't complete without their hat, or they just prefer to always be wearing one. Regardless of the situation, players will do anything they can to re-equip it if it falls off their head, whether that's picking it up off the ground, retrieving a fresh one from their saddlebag, or making a quick stop at their wardrobe. It's something players can't resist doing, and at this point, just become a habit. Moving on to number 3, selling absolutely everything. So, you know how in most games when it comes to loot, hoarding items is an issue? You just keep all that loot you have found over time, even if you're 99% sure you don't need a certain item anymore. You still keep it just in case that 0.1% chance you'd need it ever does occur. Well, in Red Dead Online, it's the opposite. Since it's not necessary to keep most items in your inventory, with the exception of crafting items, everything has value and could be filling your wallet instead of taking up satchel space. Tried and true Red Dead players know you can never have too much money. That makes letting items go even easier. Luckily, with the recent Frontier Pursuits update, things have become a lot better when it comes to the amount of ways you can earn cash and gold. Still though, the grind in Red Dead Online has always been and still is very much a thing. That is why players constantly find themselves selling everything they find out in the open frontier. The collector role even offers a chance for players to collect items in full sets to earn bigger rewards. If a lot of players are being honest though, half the time, they just sell everything they have to make a quick buck versus the alternative. Number 4, killing wildlife. Whether players are traveling long distances, messing around between missions, or pursuing the trader role, one thing is for certain, killing wildlife is something players haven't been able to resist since way back in the beta days, and understandably so. Wildlife is a big part of Red Dead Online's immersion. There are so many different types of animals in the game that it's easy to forget certain types even roam or glide through the open frontier. Since there are so many types, there is definitely no shortage of wildlife, except when we need a certain type to spawn, of course. But players, no matter where they are in-game, no matter what time of day, they all have a high chance of running into some sort of animal. Unfortunately for said animals, you may as well paint them with XP markers and dollar signs, because that's what players see every time they get one of them lined up in the crosshairs. Maybe it's a lazy kill for the quick XP, maybe it's a specific animal that contains a desired crafting material, maybe it's for target practice, or maybe it's as simple as, oh look, something is alive and moving, I need to kill it. Regardless of the player thought process, in the moment, they all want to kill wildlife, and luckily for Red Dead players, it will always be there. Number 5, ignoring waypoint routes. Now, you all know missions in Red Dead Online will have you traveling all over the map. Sometimes the routes the game will have you taking will be no joke across the map from where the start is. Bounty hunts and trader shipments can be a pain in the ass for this reason alone. So it goes without saying, players get restless and they want to reach their destination as fast as possible, which leads to the off-beaten path, ignoring the waypoint routes and trying to find shortcuts. As a Red Dead player, you think you know what's best whenever you've been grinding for a while, and the last thing you want to do is spend what feels like an hour riding your horse to your next destination. Any and every potential direction that seems like a shortcut will be your new choice. Only thing is, sometimes you regret using that internal compass to guide you because you end up staring down a 300-foot cliff, forcing you to turn around and get back to the waypoint route, or you may run up on a shoreline where you're presented with a giant body of water between you and where you're going. That shit sucks, I've done it before. Stubborn players like myself will say f it and try to descend the cliff or swim across that body of water, both typically resulting in their death. Things like this happen. I personally like to keep it simple and set up that cinematic camera and ride the waypoint route. Other than that though, if I'm riding manually, I'm definitely trying to find a shortcut. Number 6, excessively whistling for horses. When you first create your character in Red Dead Online, you're met with an adjustment slider for your character's in-game whistle. First thought across all players' minds typically is, what the fuck is this for? Then after you read into it, you realize it's just a pitch of your whistle, and that whistling is used to call your horse. Little did players know at that point that they would be whistling a ton in Red Dead Online. This one cracks me up because I find myself doing it. My friends do it, random players I come across are doing it, even you do it, don't lie. In Red Dead Online, to call your horse, you simply need to whistle once. Just once. Not twice, not 3 times, just once. But still, for whatever reason, even though we know, players just can't resist the compulsive urge to spam whistle when calling for their horse. I've literally spam whistled so much that I've come up with a consistent pattern when I whistle for my horse now. It's like a double tap and then a hold, or sometimes I do the quick 3 tap if my horse is visibly near me but slightly too far away. It's so weird, but I never just whistle one time. Fellow players, do you have your own whistle pattern like this? Please tell me I'm not crazy. Alright, whatever. At the very least, I know you spam whistle. Don't act like you don't. And here we are, the last thing that Red Dead players cannot resist doing. Number 7, taking screenshots and photos. All Red Dead players and even non-players alike know that Red Dead Redemption 2 is an aesthetically beautiful game. The graphics are awesome. When players are participating in the numerous activities Red Dead Online has to offer, sometimes they get distracted by the game's beauty and it brings them to a halt. When that moment presents itself, players can't resist the urge to simply admire the game. Of course, the only way to fully capture a moment like this is by taking a screenshot or a photo with the in-game camera, and that is exactly what Red Dead players do. Now, some players do this spontaneously when a certain view captures their eye, then they carry on with their routine. Other players will literally set out to find that same exact view for the sole purpose of capturing it, not just doing it when they come across it. Some players like to goof around with friends and take funny photos, and others like to jump into a posse wearing their best outfits and strike a pose for a menacing photo. Screenshots and taking photos are the ways players immortalize breathtaking views and unique moments with friends. Do you take screenshots often? I say it would take a strong-willed player to resist the urge of taking a screenshot when a moment that is worthy of one presents itself. Alright everyone, that sums up 7 things Red Dead players cannot resist doing. Did I forget anything? Are there any other things as a Red Dead player that you have compulsive tendencies to do? If so, drop them down in the comments below. I'd love to see what you have to share and also find out if I do the same thing you do. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure and leave a fat like rating down below, as it would help this video immensely when it comes to getting noticed. As some of you may know, I've sort of been lacking on uploads here lately due to personal issues, so any and all support is seriously valued as I get back into the routine of uploading weekly. Also, if you are a new visitor or a returning one and you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so alongside turning on notifications so you do not miss out on any weekly Red Dead Online entertainment. I hope to see you all in the next one. Later.